Welcome to the deep dive. So have you ever, tried to explain exactly how you feel, but your vocabulary just suddenly shrinks to, I don't know, maybe three basic
Oh,
words?
yeah. Usually it's just sad, angry, or tired.
Yes. Tired. We have over, what, 170,000 words in English, but 90% of us just default to, I'm tired when the world is crashing down.
Right. Well, the brain is really efficient, but under stress, that efficiency actually becomes a huge liability.
How so?
Because when you're hit with a wave of complex emotions, your cognitive bandwidth basically drops. Searching through your mental dictionary for the perfect word takes energy you just don't have. So your brain grabs the absolute nearest, broadest label to explain the
And
chaos.
usually it idles as just tired, which honestly is so unfair to the word
It's
tired.
doing way too much heavy lifting.
Right. It's carrying the weight of general stress, deep disappointment, utter confusion. I
Yeah.
mean, even the anxiety of having two unread messages from your boss.
Oh, totally. The low-level panic.
Yeah. It's exhausted. But the real problem here, the real consequence of this vocabulary shortage, is that you end up being completely misunderstood.
Exactly. When you use words that are too simple or maybe a bit too sharp, people misinterpret what's actually happening. They label you as, dramatic or cold or rude or weak.
Which you're not. You're just experiencing a super nuanced emotion, and you don't have the right tools to express it.
And that creates isolation. If you can't articulate your reality, no one can join you in it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the mission for today's deep dive is to transition from that basic, kind of messy English into what the source material calls honest English.
Right, language that actually reflects your true self. But before you can express a feeling, you have to diagnose it.
Right, and that's the hurdle. People often say, I don't know how I feel, and the assumption is that they're empty, right? Like there's just nothing there.
But that's almost never true.
No, it's not. You're not an empty room. You're a crowded room. I love the analogy from our source today. It's like the emotional cable drawer.
Oh, yes. The kitchen drawer.
Everyone has one. You open it up, and it's just every tangled phone charger, every random USB cable you've owned since 2014. It is packed, but it's a total mess.
Yeah, and psychologically, that tangled drawer is what we call feeling overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed, not empty.
Exactly. You're processing so many inputs at once that your brain can't easily separate the threads. And when you reach into that drawer, the thickest, easiest cable to grab is usually anger.
Because it's right on top.
Right. Anger is this evolutionary shield. It's loud, it's active, and it makes you feel powerful when you actually feel really vulnerable. But if you pull that thick anger cable, you almost always find it tangled up with softer emotions hiding underneath.
Like what?
Well, like hurt or fear or disappointment.
Wow, yeah. It feels like infinitely safer to say I'm angry than to admit I'm terrified. Anger pushes people away, but terror invites them to look at your weak spots.
Which is precisely why we have to practice the skill of articulation. And just to be clear, articulate doesn't mean speaking with perfect grammar.
No Shakespearean monologues required.
Right. It just means giving clearer words to a feeling, even if it's imperfect. Instead of grabbing the word tired, you could diagnose the real issue and say, I feel emotionally drained.
Man, emotionally drained hits a totally different chord.
Wow.
It captures the physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion all at once.
It changes the listener's response algorithm. Or instead of acting angry, imagine saying, I felt overlooked or I felt disconnected.
Right, because if you're just sitting there radiating anger, everyone stays away. But if you say you feel disconnected, they want to comfort you. But what if you look in the drawer and you genuinely cannot find the word? The cables are just too knotted.
There is a brilliant phrase for that exact moment. You just say, I'm not sure how to explain this, but I want to try.
I love that. It's so gentle. It gives you permission to stumble.
Yeah, it creates a safe runway. You're signaling vulnerability before you even make your point.
Okay, but I have to push back a little here. Untangling the drawer is an internal thing. The friction happens when you open your mouth. And when I'm hurt, honestly, my first instinct is not to build a gentle runway. I want to bring out the receipts.
The emotional courtroom.
Yes. If the other person is actually in the wrong, why shouldn't I stand up and say, Your Honor, I have screenshots from 2021 that prove you always do this?
What's fascinating here is the neurology of an argument. The moment you launch an accusation, you trigger the other person's amygdala.
So they go into fight or flight.
Exactly. Their brain processes a social accusation the same way it processes a physical threat. Blood flow literally reroutes away from the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that handles empathy and logic.
Wait, really? It's a physiological impossibility for them to empathize with you.
Yes. Their biological operating system has shifted into defense mode. When we lash out with messy sentences like, "You never listen to me," the other person just spanks listening and starts defending.
They start auditing your facts. They're searching their memory for the one time they did listen, just to win the semantic argument.
Which is why the golden rule from our source today is lower the accusation, raise the clarity.
Lower the accusation, raise the clarity. Okay, how do we actually do that?
Instead of saying, "You never listened to me," which is the threat, you say, "I felt ignored when I tried to explain myself."
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're denying them the ability to fact-check your emotion. Because they can argue about whether they were listening, but they can't argue with how you felt.
Exactly. Or instead of "You embarrassed me," you say, "I felt embarrassed when that was said in front of everyone."
But, I mean, we're human. The amygdala hijack goes both ways.
Yeah.
Sometimes we slip up.
And if you do, you repair it with maturity. You can literally just say, "I'm sorry, that came out harsher than I meant."
That brings up this concept of composure from the source, which I absolutely loved.
Right.
We usually think of composure as, like, acting like a robot, right? Hiding your feelings.
But it's not that at all.
No. The visual they use is walking with a full, incredibly hot cup of coffee.
I love that image.
Right. You're not pretending the coffee isn't hot.
Right.
You're not pretending the cup isn't completely full. You're just holding it carefully so it doesn't spill and burn people.
Exactly. Saying, "I need a moment before I respond," is the ultimate sign of composure. It's confident, controlled English. You're just putting the hot cup down on the counter for a second.
But, okay, if the emotional courtroom is so dangerous and the coffee is so hot,
Yeah.
the logical next step for a lot of people is just avoidance.
Just staying completely silent.
Yeah. You smile, you act normal, and when someone asks if you're okay, you just say, "No problem." But there is definitely a problem. That "no problem" has thunder behind it.
It's a ticking time bomb. The danger of feelings getting bottled up is huge. Think of it like a shaken soda bottle.
Or like technical debt in a software project.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you suppress emotions, they just build pressure. And this leads to that classic scenario where someone forgets to buy bread at the store and suddenly there's a massive explosion.
You're screaming in the kitchen over wheat bread.
And it was never about the bread. It was about 3 weeks of feeling ignored and unappreciated.
So how do we prevent the bread explosion?
You have to speak up while the feeling is still small enough to hold gently.
Okay, what's a good phrase for that?
You can say, "I don't want this to build up, so I want to mention it now." Or, "I know this may not have been your intention, but it affected me."
Oh, I really like that second one. It removes the malice. It gives them a graceful exit.
It does. It acknowledges they probably didn't wake up plotting to ruin your day.
But what if you do all of this right? You're vulnerable, you open up, you use honest English,
Yeah.
and they just brush you off? They act like it's no big deal?
Ah, the dismissive listener.
Yeah. It hurts worse than the original offense. So shouldn't we just walk away? Just say, "Fine, forget it."
No, because saying "fine, forget it" is just preparing terrible emotional weather for a later date.
That makes sense. But when they minimize your feeling, the instinct is to get louder, to defend your whole personality.
And that's the trap. When you're dealing with someone who is dismissive, you don't need to get louder. You just need to get clearer.
Okay. How?
You can calmly say, "Please do not minimize this." Or, "You may not have meant to hurt me, but the impact was still real."
Right. I understand you see it differently, but this is how it felt to me. It's drawing the line. Which brings us to boundaries.
Yes, boundaries are so misunderstood.
Because we don't want to unleash the full emotional documentary on someone who just asked, "How was your weekend?" You know, season 1, episode 1,
Yeah.
with subtitles and background music.
Right, people think boundaries are these angry walls with barbed wire and warning signs.
But the source calls them polite fences.
Polite fences with emotional intelligence.
Yeah, you can still see over the fence, but you decide who opens the gate.
Exactly. It is perfectly okay to say, "I'm not ready to talk about it yet." That is a complete, mature boundary.
Okay, so we've spent this whole time figuring out how to speak to others. But communication is a loop. What happens when the roles reverse?
When you are the one listening.
Right. When someone comes to you with their messy feelings, here's where it gets really interesting. If a friend comes to me and they are clearly, objectively wrong about a situation.
Does validating them mean you have to lie?
Exactly. Do I have to agree that they are right just to be a good friend?
That is the biggest misconception about validation. You never have to lie. Validating does not mean agreeing with every detail or saying they're entirely right.
So what does it mean?
It simply means communicating, "I can understand why you feel that way, You are creating a safe space.
You're validating the emotion, not authenticating the event.
Spot on. You can use phrases like, that sounds like a lot to carry, or simply, thank you for telling me.
Which leads to what you call the golden question.
Yes, the most crucial question a listener can ask. Do you want advice, or do you just want me to listen?
Because the urge to fix it is so strong. Someone is crying, and you just want to bust out your 7-step emotional improvement slideshow. Step 1, drink more water. Step 2, optimize your morning routine.
And they just wanted to be sad for 5 minutes. Validation always comes first. Advice only comes later, and only if requested.
Wow. Okay, so to recap the journey for everyone listening, we've moved from basic, exhausted words like tired to honest, clear English.
We learned to organize our crowded cable drawers.
Yes, and we figured out how to avoid the emotional courtroom. We're not shaking the soda bottle anymore. We're building polite fences.
And putting away the 7-step advice slideshows.
Exactly. So here is your actionable challenge for today. Try to practice just one sentence today, starting with the words, I felt.
Just one.
Yeah, like, I felt overwhelmed when the schedule changed. Or even, I felt proud when I finished that. Just practice owning the feeling.
And as you do that, I'll leave you with a final lingering thought. This isn't explicitly in the source material, but it's a profound concept.
Oh, I love these. Let's hear it.
If we only experience the emotions that we have the vocabulary to describe, then expanding your emotional English isn't just about communicating better with others. It might actually be the key to unlocking an entirely new depth of feeling within yourself. The question is, does your language simply describe your world, or does it actively build it?
Oh, wow. Does your language describe your world or build it? That is going to keep me up tonight.
It's a powerful idea.
It really is. Well, thank you to you, the listener, for joining us on this deep dive. Keep exploring the boundaries of your own vocabulary. And the next time you're about to say you're tired, maybe pause and see what else is in that drawer.